Hi guys, it's Elise. Today I wanted to share a Easter message with you guys. I know that as Christians the Easter story is something that's really important to us, but I also know that there are some parts of the Easter story that are a little bit hard to share with our kids. And so I wanted to share the way that I was taught the Easter story as a kid, which was through something called resurrection eggs. So resurrection eggs are just 12 fun plastic Easter eggs, but each one has something different inside of it to help represent Jesus' journey to the cross from Palm Sunday to Easter Sunday. So starting with our first egg, which represents Palm Sunday, inside of it we have a little leaf. Now this leaf represents the palm leaves that the Jewish people were waving in the streets of Jerusalem when Jesus came into the city, and they were calling Jesus their king. Inside the second egg, we have a quarter. This quarter represents the 30 pieces of silver that Judas Iscariot, one of Jesus's disciples, was given by the Pharisees because he betrayed Jesus. He told the Pharisees where Jesus would be so that the Roman soldiers could come and arrest him. One of the reasons Jesus was in Jerusalem at that time was because of the Passover. Now the Passover is a holiday that the Jewish people still celebrate to this day, and because Jesus was Jewish, this is something that he would have celebrated. So this is represented by a small piece of bread. Passover is where we get our communion from, because Jesus said that his body was the bread that the people were eating. After the Passover meal, Jesus went to the Garden of Gethsemane, and in Gethsemane he prayed, and he was afraid because he knew that he was going to be arrested soon, and so that prayer is represented by this piece of paper. After he prayed, he was arrested by the Roman soldiers, and that's what this piece of string or rope would represent Jesus being arrested. When the Romans arrested him, they mocked him, which means they made fun of him. And so they put a crown of thorns on him, which is represented by this twig. They put the crown of thorns on him because the Jewish people had just called him their king, and so they were calling him a king. Jesus was then nailed to the cross, which is represented by 2 nails. He was nailed to the cross as a way for him to die. The Romans had made fun of him before by calling him a king, and they continued to mock him and make fun of him by giving away his possessions. The way they decided who would do this is they cast lots, which was a dice game. And they did this while Jesus was dying on the cross. After Jesus had died, they wanted to make sure that he had died, and so they stabbed him in the side with a spear, which is represented by this stick. Jesus was then taken off of the cross and prepared to be buried. Now the way that they buried people then was they wrapped them in white burial clothes, which is represented by this white cloth. And then the tomb was a cave, and it was sealed off by a giant rock, represented by this very small rock. The Jewish people were sad. They didn't know that Jesus would be coming back to life. And so a few days later, when one of his friends came to the tomb to finish burying Jesus, they realized that the tomb was empty. And that is how we know that Jesus was our Savior, that he is who he says he was, and that he truly is all-powerful, because the tomb was empty and Jesus wasn't there. And that's what we celebrate every Easter. And I hope you guys liked this story. This is how I learned the Easter story as a kid. And I'll miss seeing you guys this Easter. Okay, bye.